Today, we're talking about a very controversial topic. Are Justin Trudeau's actions really in line for the betterment of Canadians?
Working for the past 4 months, Mr. Speaker, inflation has been down in the Bank of Canada target range while we continue to increase supports for Canadians.
Or is he just a puppet for the rich and powerful?
What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, is that we penetrate the cabinets. So yesterday I was at a reception for Trudeau, and I know that half of this cabinet, or even more half of this cabinet, are for our actually young global leaders of the World Economic Forum.
The top 1% in Canada hold more wealth than 90% of Canadians combined. But what if I told you that our Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, might be tied to these billionaires like a puppet on a string?
This Prime Minister wants us to believe that these Trudeau Foundation donors offered him a $9,000 a night vacation for nothing. We know nothing is free, Mr. Speaker. This is about influence and power for the super rich. So why won't he answer? How much should he pay in accommodation per night at this luxurious villa?
In this video, we're going to explore some serious allegations about how Trudeau's policies could be benefiting billionaires and multi-millionaires instead of everyday folks like he promises he would do. Now, everyone knows how big of an impact massive American companies have on American politicians.
Federal Election Commission filings tell a slightly different story. Many of the nation's richest individuals, including founders and executives at some of America's biggest businesses, have backed the Trump-Vance ticket. In fact, 26 billionaires have already given more than $1 million apiece to pro-Trump PACs and committees.
So why wouldn't Justin Trudeau act the same way? As much as we can make fun of Justin Trudeau and how bad of a job he's doing for Canadians, it is a tough job to run a country. That is no doubt. Because on one hand, you have to go against what you're saying for political theater of, we're not going to cater to the rich. We're not going to do that. We're going to raise taxes on the rich and lower them for the middle class, and it's all for the middle class. It all sounds good, right?
We've done that by lowering taxes for the middle class and raising them on the wealthiest 1%, which is something that actually has led to significant economic growth, because people who have more money in their pockets and spend it instead of stashing it away or investing it actually contribute to economic activity in significant ways.
And that should be the majority of the mandate, but the reality is you can't piss off the rich people, the business owners, too much, because if they leave your country, they take their jobs with them, and then your fellow middle-class Canadians are getting even more pissed off, unemployment keeps rising, and they vote you out. So while you're trying not to cater to these millionaires and billionaires and big business owners, the reality is you are. You have to give them some preferential treatment. You have to incentivize them somewhat with usually tax breaks or other loopholes or write-offs so that they stay in your country and provide jobs for your middle-class voters. Not an easy task. See, me, if I was Prime Minister, as a conservative economic person, I would just be out and open about it, just the way I am here on YouTube. You have to cater to the rich people. You have to, because if you don't, everything I said is going to happen. And it's happening right now, by the way. What do you think the biggest reason for the housing crisis is? Why we have a housing crisis, and why the U.S., they say they have a housing crisis, but they don't. It's like this much compared to ours. But why do we have one and they don't? Because in America, they believe in capitalism and freedom and the American dream, so they make it easier for people in the U.S., their citizens, to start businesses, to be in the construction industry, to be a real estate investor or developer. How? With lower taxes. And when you buy real estate, you get a bunch of other tax treatments that you don't get in Canada, which is why we're no longer buying Canada. After buying 150 properties in Canada, I no longer invest here at all. I'm all in on the U.S., because they incentivize me to go there and build housing for their citizens with a bunch of tax loopholes, depreciation tactics, things to get my income down to zero, literally. I can make $1 million, $2 million a year, which is what we're on path to do, and I can literally pay zero taxes. That $1 million right in my pocket. I can buy Lambos, I can buy Rolex watches, I ain't doing that because it's not responsible financial stuff. But I can. It's easier. So that's why they don't have a housing crisis. People are building houses everywhere. Whereas here, we have a housing shortage. Why? It's hard to build. The city gets in the way. The permits are too much. It takes too long. So the financing drags out. It makes the project not desirable, not profitable. So we don't have builders building. Interest rates are at 40-year highs. It's hard enough with that. Now you throw on all the other stuff. Taxes at 54%. And it's hard to get around that if you make that much money. Okay, I pay 54% tax a year in Canada. Ouch. Ouch. It sucks. Why would I do that? When I can just cross the border like I am, and I can pay a top tax rate of 35%, even if I end up paying taxes. It's 35%. More likely, it's going to be like 0 or 10% when it's all said and done. I'm going to go there. That's why we're losing doctors, nurses, dentists. They're all going to the U.S. Why would I be working at Cambridge Hospital, as a doctor making $175,000, $200,000? Yeah, guys, they don't make that much. Okay, doctors don't make nearly what they should in Canada, and they got to pay 54% tax on that. By the way, disgusting. Or they can just get a job in Texas, Florida, Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, Georgia, all these low tax states, North Carolina, South Carolina. They can get a job there as a doctor, make $400,000 USD, so it's like 600,000 Canadian, and only pay 30% tax. Ha! That's what's happening. So anyway, on my long rant, if I was prime minister, I would just be open about it, which Pierre is pretty much aligned with that. He'll just tell you how it is, tell you what's wrong with the budget, what's wrong with our policies, and what has got to be done. Now, what's interesting with Trudeau is that in 2018, the purchase and support of the Trans Mountain Pipeline was a very dicey one, because Trudeau's whole mandate is climate change, and we got to lower emissions, lower carbon. But he realizes, and he knows, that Canada is the 4th largest oil producer on the planet, and that Canada is really an oil economy. It looks like we're a real estate economy, which is like the 2nd biggest industry. It's pretty big. It looks like we're starting to become a tech country, right? Google and Kitchener-Waterloo, all these tech companies, Shopify and Waterloo, right? We're trying to make this angle of tech. No, we're not a manufacturing country either. We're an oil nation. Don't get it twisted. And as much as Trudeau likes to hide that, he knows he can't fuck around with it too much. CPI, inflation, what the U.S. does with their inflation, it's all political theater. It's all a ruse to get you confused with, I don't understand how economics works. That's the way it's supposed to be. Behind the curtain. Our Canadian dollar, if you match it up with the price of oil per barrel, is almost identical. When oil does really good, Canada does really good. When oil does bad, Canada does bad. So if Trudeau was smart, and then what Pierre is really talking about, we're going to pump the fuck out of oil. We're going to pump it. We have more oil in Canada than anywhere on earth. We have more oil in Alberta sands than Dubai and all of the Middle East does. We have more oil. We just don't pump it. It's harder to get to than theirs. That's okay. Figure it out. Fucking 2024. We can put people in space. We can't figure out they know how to do it. They'll figure it out. If incentivized, if government gets out of the way and says, hey, if you guys can figure it out and make technology and make this clean, which is Pierre's whole mandate, we're going to pump oil and it's going to be clean-ish. It's going to be the cleanest oil on earth. And we're going to sell it everywhere because he understands these countries are going to buy oil anyway. China, Russia, African countries, Middle East, they need oil. So it's either they buy our clean, humane oil, nice labor, nice jobs, unions, safety. They can buy our oil, or they can buy that dirty ass oil. They're going to pump it either way. And that's what Pierre's saying. They might as well buy ours. Now, this is where the puppeteer of Trudeau is coming in. The oil companies are for sure lobbying and pushing to get these things done. He's got to do them under the table. And then in the political theater, in the press conferences, carbon tax this, we're going to tax that, lower emissions. It's a tough spot to be in. It's hard to play the World Economic Forum mandate of climate change and all that, but also realize that you're an oil nation. And I think he's gone too far. He's gone too far with alienating business, the carbon tax, price on pollution. What are you doing? I hope Pierre gets in. Like I always talk about on this channel, it doesn't really matter who's prime minister or who's president of the U.S. It doesn't really matter for you personally, but for the sake of the country. I would love to see someone run the country smart with economics and push Canada to be what it could be, which is a very, very wealthy country. It could be. And I'd like to see that. For me, I don't care. Right? We're going to keep doing our thing. We're going to keep investing in the U.S., keep investing in real estate. It doesn't matter for me, really. But it would be good for the majority of Canadians if our economy started chugging and pumping and stopped taxing the middle class so much. Lower taxes with federal taxes, lower provincial taxes, and most importantly, get rid of the goddamn carbon tax, which is taxing everything. Food, clothes, shoes, anything you buy at the store costs more because of Trudeau's carbon tax. So while he is a puppet of the WEF and lobbying billionaires, he's also catering to them as well. Right? If we look at the Trudeau Foundation donors, which they never share, by the way, on the website, I checked. Welcome to Canada, where everything's privatized, unlike America. Yeah, we think America is all bad and disgusting and corrupt, and it is. But at least they air their dirty laundry. You can find out anything about anything. I can tell you as a real estate investor investing there, it's crazy. The information I can find out. I can find out anybody's address, what they paid for the property, when they paid. I can see the mortgage documents that they signed. I can see it. It's insane because they have this thing called the Freedom of Information Act in the U.S., and literally everything is public. You want to find out anything about a court case, a traffic stop, a random traffic stop, and you want to pull the body cam footage, everything is out in the open. But Canada, we're under the English rule where we keep everything privatized. That's my terrible English accent. But we're from a different monarch. We're from a different government structure where everything is private, which is good and bad. In this case, getting down to the real important stuff is bad. But we know Trudeau gets paid off indirectly. See, that's the thing with Canada. Indirect. Ski trips, private jets, vacations, right? All these vacations he goes on, and he just says, oh, it's my friend. My dad's uncle's friend has this place in Jamaica, wherever the hell it was. He just lent it to me for free. He just invited me over. Bullshit. That was taxpayer money to get you there, and you got something for going there. Okay? Nothing's free. But let me know what you think in the comments. Are we setting up for a bad recession? Has Trudeau gone too far? And even if Pierre does get in, it's irreversible? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear.